Okay, everybody, I have a little secret that I need to let you all in on. Now, you know that I am all about feeling good, staying energized, and keeping my mind sharp so I can go out there and live my own fearless life and create my life by design while being able to meet and serve others. So, I have found something that helps me to do that amongst the chaos of holding it all, right? If you're anything like me, you are in a transition period. Maybe you're moving from one career to another. Maybe you're building your own business. Maybe you have a family. Maybe you are juggling multiple hats all at the same time. And whilst we know that we have to support our mind, body, soul, our nervous system with the right habits, standards, routines, to help us feel our best, sometimes we just need something a little bit extra to help fill those gaps in the chaos of life, right? Well, I have found something that does all of that and more, and it's called Happy Juice by Amar, the mental wellness company. It is a total game changer. Now, I have to admit that when I first heard about Happy Juice, I was very skeptical and I really didn't think that it was going to live up to the hype that I had heard all about it. Now, I have to tell you that I am a changed woman. I have been my mindset about this has been completely changed. I've been using Happy Juice now, drinking Happy Juice now for about 3 months, and honestly, the results speak for themselves. So what is it? Well, basically, Happy Juice is a delicious drink that is packed with science-backed nutrients that support your gut-brain connection. Because when your gut is happy, your mind follows. So what it does is it helps boost your mood, sharpen your mental clarity, and give you sustained energy without the jitters or crash of something like coffee. Plus, it also is going to help you manage your stress, improve your motivation, and support your overall mental well-being naturally. There are no synthetic ingredients inside this drink, which is something that is really important to me. I have personally been loving how much more focused, balanced, and energized I feel throughout the day, especially juggling a business, 2 kids, Evie starting school, juggling multiple rehearsals for my creative endeavors and pursuits that I'm in, as well as recording the podcast. So I have really, really loved how this drink, this really simple tool in my toolkit, has been helping me to fill the gaps and support me as I go out there and create this incredible dream life that I am chasing. So if you want to experience it for yourself, head over to the show notes. There is a link if you are overseas, say in the USA, and there is a link if you are here in Australia, New Zealand. Go and grab yourself some Happy Juice today. You will get $10 off using my link down in the show notes. So cheers to feeling amazing inside and out. Are you ready to find your voice, fulfill your purpose, build unstoppable confidence? And are you ready to learn how to trust, accept, and love yourself enough to do the work to create what you want in life? Oh, and do you want to learn how to do it without burning yourself out, sacrificing what matters most, or compromising on your values? Then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Crystal Stanton, a certified coach, human design enthusiast, entrepreneur, and podcast host on a mission to guide women into their true, authentic success, to help them recognize their power and to step out from the shadows and into the woman they were always meant to be. Around here, we don't do grey, unaligned versions of our life. We don't settle for what we should be happy with. Around here, we do big, bold, courageous, fulfilled, rich lives, and we do it in an aligned, nourished, and truly authentic way. If that sounds like the life you want, then stick around and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fearless. And I say this every week. I need to find a different word, but it's true. I'm so excited because today I have a guest on the show. So I love having guests come in because that's what this show is about. It's about learning to become the hero of your own story, and anyone who can come in and share their wisdom and their journey and how they have learnt to become fearless. I love having them here. So I'm very excited today, and I know specifically for a lot of my audience, you're going to love our guest today because of the area that she works in. So I know a lot of you are building your own businesses or have your own businesses already set up or in the process of creating some kind of endeavor. So I'm sure you'll get a lot of value out of today. So today our guest is Emily-Jane Sarroff. She is a graduate of architectural design, a Jay Shetty certified life coach, a business mentor, a social media figure, and the host of the Empower with M podcast. So lots of things going on there. As a six-figure business owner, she is redefining what it means to build a brand by merging creative branding with strategic marketing, helping clients find their voice through impactful brand design and teaching them how to communicate it effectively. In a world where branding and marketing are often seen as separate, Emily-Jane bridges that gap, emphasizing that true brand design is psychology, not just a mood board. I love that sentence. It's about creating genuine connections and unforgettable experiences with your audience. Through her unique methodology, Emily-Jane empowers business owners to integrate brand design with marketing psychology, creating magnetic brands that captivate and convert. So thank you and welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here, Crystal.
Yes, and we were just talking before we started recording a little bit about human design because I do love
Yeah.
human design. And you shared that you're a projector and a 2-4, which you're all about, you have natural gifts that people will call out of you, and the 4 is all about people and building people and communities. And as a projector, you're all about refining systems. So the fact that you're helping people refine and synthesize their businesses and their brand, like, just makes sense. But I also really love in your bio how obvious it is that you've been on a journey. Like you've done a lot of different things to become the person you are today. And the show is called Fearless for a reason because really all of us have that moment or possibly multiple moments where the universe goes, hey, this isn't really what you want to be doing, and you know it. This is your opportunity. A lot of us go with fear, though. We make the choice from fear and we stay where we are. You quite obviously, just from reading your bio, have chosen that more fearless option of going, okay, let's go down this road and see where it leads. So I'd love to start there a little bit about that journey and sort of what was the moment for you where you were like, you know what, I'm gonna do things a little bit differently.
Mm. That moment was when I was 22 years old. I was studying my master's of architecture and I was also working a job in the industry already. And, I had invested like 4.5 years up until that point and almost $50,000 into that degree as well. But I found myself like reaching this crossroad where I only had 6 months left until it was done and I was fully, qualified to be working full time. But I was feeling this pull to step into a different direction.
Mm.
I was feeling this pull to go and explore something else. Now, I had started my podcast, the Empower with Them podcast, around that time. And I found that that was actually becoming a passion project of mine, something that was lighting me up. I was excited to record episodes, to build a brand around that. But it also had absolutely nothing to do with the degree that I was studying. And it began to take time away from that. And I started to resent my degree. I started to resent the time that I had to put towards that path that no longer felt connected to me and where I wanted to go. And so I took a step back and I asked myself a question of, do I even want to finish the last 6 months?
Mm.
Even though I had invested so much time, so much money, so much energy, do I really, in my heart of hearts, want to see this through to the end? And
Mm.
the answer was no. I wanted to lean into my podcast. I wanted to explore what it could look like to build a business around that. And so, despite fear being present, I had made the decision to be fearless and just take the leap and quit my degree, quit my job, and go all in on just following where my heart was pulling me in that moment. And so within 8 months of going all in on my business, I had made my very first six figures. And that for me was the confirmation that that was the path that I was meant to be on.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And there's a couple of things I really want to point out from what you just shared. One is like that you were talking about your podcast as your passion project. And so hopefully we can come back to that because obviously you turned your passion project into how you create abundance in your life. And I
Yeah.
think so many of us have these passion projects, but we literally just can't get our brain around that potentially could be the thing that brings all of the wealth and abundance into our life that we need. We don't realize that that's a reality. And the
Yeah.
other thing that I love that you said, the three words that you said, was I'd invested time, money, and energy into a degree that I didn't want to do. I love that you said those three specific words because they are all about convenience, about our circumstances. And
Mm.
most of the time, people make decisions based on those circumstances.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, well, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the energy, so I can't do it even though I know it's what I need. Or like you, I've invested so much time and so much energy and so much money, so I can't possibly walk away from it. Like that would be ridiculous. I
Mm.
just, I love that. So what do you think it was about you that helped you make that choice?
Mm. One very clear thing, in that moment, like I was doing a lot of self-reflection, a lot of journaling, a lot of like, just thinking about where I wanted to be. Now, 22 years old, I'm grateful that I had that realization then because it's actually very young to realize that you want to like pivot the direction that you're going on. And that gave me the gift of being able to figure out early like what direction I did want to be moving in. And I sat with myself and I asked myself, if I'm still in this same place 5 years from now, working the same job, in the same career, what's my circumstances?
Mm,
How is my mental health? How is my emotional health? What does my life look like? Am I happy to be there? And it was actually a very scary image I had in my mind
mm,
because I was already at such a low place that I was like, if this feeling that I feel right now compounds further over the next 5 years, that is a destination that I do not want to get to. And so
mm,
I future paced and I did something that not a lot of people actually do. And I looked at the cost of inaction. Too
mm,
many people are focused on the cost of taking action rather than the cost of not taking action. And the cost of inaction towards this pool that I was feeling the nudge towards would be the detriment of my mental health, my emotional health, and me as who I am.
mm,
And so that for me outweighed any fear that came up because that's the scariest outcome that could possibly happen. Doesn't matter if I lose money in the journey, doesn't matter if it takes me a long time to get to where I want to go. All of those outcomes are better than being at that destination that I envisioned at that time. And that was really what allowed me to take that leap to move forward into the unknown and explore what that could look like.
mm. Yeah, yeah, I love that. And that is that's such a great tool for people to use if you are listening and you are in a bit of a crossroads or a transition, or if you have been stuck in this cycle of, well, I know I need to change, but time, money, energy, you're staying stuck in that loop and nothing is changing for you. What is the cost of staying where you are? And even thinking about, like you said, you could have stayed in that role as an architect and been paid that wage in that role and been unfulfilled and miserable, but it's you safe, stable, you knew what was coming next, you sort of know what you're going to get paid. You can literally do maths, which is not my strongest point, but you can do maths and literally figure out like whatever is the investment in front of you to move to what you want to be doing, like take that investment and times it by however many years you have until retirement, and like that's how much money you're wasting as well by staying where you are and not taking that next step. So yeah, I love
Mm.
that. Thank you for sharing. I think I was thinking about our call this morning. I think that kind of ties into what I was thinking about. But is it going to come back now? Probably not. It will eventually. It will eventually. But I do have a question for you. Um, I do a Q&A in my Facebook group every week, and I did have a question from someone who is building a business, and that's not really my favorite place to be, but it was
Yeah.
specific to building your business online. So I said that I would ask you for your expertise on this because the question was, is it necessary to build your business on Facebook and Instagram?
Right. No, it's
Mm.
not necessary. So, what I always say to my clients, especially when you're starting out, pick one platform. That's what you want to do. You want to pick one platform and put 100% of your energy into building in one space. So then when it comes to determining what platform to be on, the question you got to ask is like, where is your ideal client and where do you actually enjoy creating content? Now, I'm sure you'll be able to find your ideal client on any platform for majority of clientele. There are some client like niches where certain platforms kind of work better than others, but you generally speaking can find your ideal client anywhere. So start by having a look at where do you enjoy consuming and creating content the most, and lean into that. Focus on that one space. Just like I'm predominantly on Instagram, I've got, small exposure on other platforms, but I don't really think about them. Like Instagram is where I focus majority of my time, my energy, especially in the first stages of building my business.
Mm. Yeah, I think that the stages, that's what was in my brain this morning. So thinking about the stage that you're at and what
Mm,
you need. And I think a lot of the time for us as business builders or when we're starting out, but also in life in general, this comes back to being able to set boundaries and ask for what we need and ask for support when we need it. We get a bit stuck in this idea that we have to do it all ourselves. Right?
yeah.
Like we have to, if we're just starting our business, we have to be it all and do it all. And, we kind of forget that we have the ability to outsource things and we have the ability to be like, this is not my area of expertise. I need someone else to do this for me so I can be in my magic. But we get so stuck in, like, again, we get stuck in time, money, energy, right? Like, so we sort of make ourselves wear all the hats. And I
Yeah.
think from having a look at your content that this is something you really help people with, is not having to wear all of the hats. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes in stages. At the very beginning of your business journey, you're going to be wearing all of the hats,
Mm,
until you have the capital, like the cash to actually invest in other areas. So it is something I do help my clients with when they get to that certain point. And what I would suggest is any new business owner, like from the beginning, start to think about what hats do you want to stop wearing,
mm,
and ideally, how soon do you want to stop wearing them? And put a plan in place. Start to map out who would you hire that makes sense to help you out. When will you hire them? Where do you need your business to be in order to do that?
mm, yeah. And I think also too, getting resourceful.
Mm,
If I use my own context, so I can create content, I
mhm,
can do the stuff on Canva, I can build landing pages and websites, I can do all of those things, but they bring me no joy. None.
mhm.
None whatsoever. I don't love it at all. I love doing this. I love being
Yeah.
on podcasts. I love serving people. I love coaching, but I hate all the other stuff. It
Mm,
just, all my life force energy gone, and I
yeah.
spend so much time on that it then has a ripple effect of where I'm like not then showing up in my business because I'm like, oh, I have to do all this stuff I don't love. But same thing, got myself stuck in that trap of like, oh, but I have to do it all because I don't have the capital yet, or I don't have this X amount of money in my business, or I don't have this many clients. So thinking too about, well, how can I get resourceful? Because if I can get resourceful in how I can get the resources to invest in that opportunity, or invest in, whether it's a VA or someone doing your social media for you, or just the things that you hate doing, if you can get resourceful with it, it's going to free you up to expand faster.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Thinking resourcefully about how can I make this happen is the best question that you can ask yourself rather than getting into that trap of saying, well, I can't make this happen right now. I can't afford that right now. I can't do that right now. Ask yourself, how can I? Just like you said, because that's going to help you get into that problem solving mode where you can start to figure out how you can actually start moving the needle forward in some of those areas. And when it does come to delegating, like you said, I think we're sold a bit of a lie where we're told to work on our weaknesses so that they
Mhm.
can become, our strengths eventually. But actually in business, it's about focusing on your strengths and
Yeah.
outsourcing your weaknesses. So if there's certain areas that you find are really draining, then ask who can I hire to do that for me? And if there's other areas that you really find come easy and light you up, then double down and focus your time and energy on those things in particular.
Yeah. And I think that really comes back to as well self trust and
Mm,
discernment, because I think you get thrown so many things. And I know we're very specifically in this conversation talking about people who are building, their own brand or their own business online, but it's relatable for life in general. But we get so bombarded by what we should be doing, what we have to be doing, or you must be doing this strategy, or you must be doing that strategy, which I guess is where that question from the member of my community came from. They're like, oh, but I have to be on both, don't I? But I can feel underneath that the overwhelm of, potentially someone building a business who is maybe a wife, maybe a mother, maybe has another job at the same time, feeling that pressure. And so they're like, oh, maybe I just don't need to be on it because then it takes something away from me. Instead of thinking about what we're talking about, which is how can I get resourceful if it's, like you said, a weakness of mine? Do I really need to spend time on that weakness, getting better at it, or can I just give it to somebody else? And that's sort of what I'm working on this year for my business, because I'm sick of doing this, treading
mm,
water like the little ducky, and go find the people who are really good at that and actually love doing it. You have all of those pieces, and I can just focus on my strengths, what I am really good at.
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I want to know, and I am a manifesting generator, so I do kind of ping here, there, and everywhere. I want to go back to your bio around being a Jay Shetty life coach. So tell me
Yeah.
more about from architecture to life coaching to branding and marketing. Like those are three very clear phases of life
Yeah.
journey. Like tell me a little bit about that.
It's definitely been I like to think that the journey has unfolded exactly as it has and as exactly as it should have, and each step has moved me closer to figuring out what the next step will be. So initially being in the architecture space, it was my personal development journey and getting exposure to the personal development world, which made me realize there's such thing as podcasts and coaches out there. And so in uni, studying architecture, made the decision to start a podcast, which was documenting my own personal development journey. That podcast obviously then evolved into a coaching business, which started as a empowerment mindset coaching business. Now,
Mm,
when that grew to six figures really quickly, then naturally my audience who had followed me along that journey started asking me to help them building businesses as well, because they had watched me quickly build a business and at a young age that they were like, okay, well, if she can do this and she can go after creating a life that's more in alignment with what she wants to be living, then so can I, right? And so it was me embodying what I was teaching
mhm.
that got me results, that then those results opened the doors to the next opportunity being business coaching. Now, I did business coaching for probably a solid 2 years or year and a half before I realized that I don't really want to be known as the generalist business coach.
Mhm.
I don't think that business coaching alone is who I am and what my mission is. Like when I would reflect on the conversations I'd have with clients and what I'd be teaching them, it became very, very abundantly clear to me that the branding component was where my strength was and where I was getting the most out of my clients and where we were having the most expansive
Yeah.
conversations.
I'm gonna jump in, sorry, because I'm having these little human design moments here. So
Yeah.
the fact that, you just shared your journey and
Mm,
embodied who you are and what you're meant to be doing, and then received all the invitations to help other people do the same thing. I'm like, well, there you go. If you want an example of what a projector, how a projector is meant to go through the world and receive,
Mhm.
that's it, everybody. Focus on you and loving and trusting and accepting you and believing in you first, and then the invitations will come. So
Mhm.
just amazing. And also hearing, I can hear your profile coming out as well. So you said like you have the 2-4 profile. So when you're saying like what people were asking me for and what I was coaching them on, I have a line 2 as well. I'm a 6-2. So mine's in my unconscious, so it's not as obvious for me. But what happens for a line 2? Yes, they are sometimes referred to as the hermit. We do need our own space to go and sort of hide away and integrate things and figure things out for ourselves. Um, and then we will get called out for our skills, but we're also called natural because we are naturally talented at what we're here to do. Like we just
Mhm.
naturally are gifted in whatever it is we're meant to be doing here. We learn those things very quickly. And that's actually how you know if that's your profile, that you're on the right track, because people will come to you and be like, I need you to help me with this because I know you do that really, really well. So if you,
Mhm.
that's a good guide for you to be like, oh, I'm not sure. Like if you're doubting or you're not 100% sure in your clarity and you do have a line 2, listen, because people will reflect back to you and project onto you what your natural sort of skills are. And then you get to use discernment and be like, okay, do I like that though?
Yeah.
Because when I started in the network marketing space, wasn't really for me. Then brought my skill set as a teacher and a coach within the teaching space. I was like, well, people keep asking me questions to help them and, feel more motivated, inspired to change things. So I'm kind of going to go there. So it was similar in that I just sort of followed, what people were calling out of me. And in the beginning, I did have a lot of people around business, but it's not really my jam. It's not really my jam. So being able to put that down has been a big part of the process as well. Being like,
Definitely.
okay, well, people are interested, like they want this from me, but is that what I want? And then tuning into the body and being like, is that what I want to do? Yeah.
Massively. And I love that you mentioned that point because that was a big piece in the whole journey was like, and I always say, like, if someone's new to business, I think there's often this limiting belief of I have to be niche, and know
Mm,
exactly what I want to do and exactly what I'm going to serve. And I like to take an opposite approach where if you're new to business, I'll say actually don't niche down. Allow yourself, to have more openness to explore and see what you call in and experiment and see what you enjoy and see what lands for you. The same way that I evolved from mindset coaching to business coaching to now doing specifically personal branding. And
mm.
who's to say that this is the end point? It's probably not. I mean, I can even start to see like some next levels that are down the line for me. But right now, this is where I'm being called towards, and this is where I'm allowing myself to play and explore, and be open to receiving that feedback from people who are connecting with me and are seeing what those, natural and intuitive gifts are, within the space that I'm in.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah. So tell us a little bit then about like what is it for you about branding and marketing? Can I remember off the top of my head? I did have a look. One of your posts came up for me this morning. Oh, I'm not going to be able to remember it. But talk to us a little bit more about like the psychology aspect and the community building aspect of branding, because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by strategy, but they don't have that underlying foundation like you're talking about of understanding that it's relationship building that you're doing.
Mm. That's exactly it, right? Like building a brand is about building connection with the person who's on the other side of the screen. And so obviously there's strategy that is involved with that. There are psychological things that we can understand about the way that the human mind works and the way that people connect with other people and leverage that in a marketing capacity to be able to deepen those connections. But the core of like building community and building connection through your brand comes down to sharing your story, comes down to actually like sharing a human experience that people can relate to, being your most authentic expression so that people have the opportunity to like resonate with that, rather than just presenting yourself in a way that you think is going to land for the people that you want to be attracting.
Okay, beautiful soul, just interrupting for a minute to talk to you about something that I'm really, really excited to share with you all. Now, if you are listening to this podcast, you're potentially someone who is in a bit of a transition period in life. Maybe you have been in a career for a long time and you're looking to change career paths or to realign or get more clarity around your current career. Maybe you're building your own business and you're just feeling like you can't quite get the clarity you need to get the momentum happening. You're not quite sure what it is you're here to do or who it is you're here to serve. Maybe you're really struggling to figure out or revisit or redefine your identity, your life purpose, and your life direction. Now, I am really, really excited because I have created a very simple tool that is going to help you get the clarity that you are seeking. Transitions aren't just about, the next job or the next phase of our business. They're really about rediscovering who we are and realigning to who we are at our birth frequency. And that is where true authenticity comes from and true authentic success comes from. Now, what I have created for you is an incredibly simple tool that you can use to create clarity, alignment, success, progress. I am so, so excited to share this tool with you. And that tool is my aligned business roadmap. I am so excited by this tool and what I have been able to create. And I am absolutely so grateful and thankful for the incredible feedback that I have received about this tool. Now, what this tool does is it helps you create a growth plan that is aligned with your human design and your astrological frequency. So if you are wanting to build a thriving business that feels completely aligned with who you are, or if you're already in a career and you're just looking to leverage your unique human design and astrological blueprint so that you can craft a strategy that is actually designed for you, and you want to do it all in less than 1 hour without needing any in-depth knowledge about astrology or human design, then the Aligned Business Roadmap is for you. What the Aligned Business Roadmap is an ultimate ChatGPT prompt, mega prompt, that you can plug in step by step that's going to combine your human design and astrological frequency into a tailored strategy for you. It's going to provide a detailed roadmap to help you create a business that is aligned with your energy and your goals, no matter what they are. It is super easy to follow, even if you are new to human design or astrology. This isn't just another template. This isn't just another list of things you need to check off and do. This is the foundation for you to start becoming the person that can show up and hold the business, the career of your dreams, and actually achieve the goals that you have. It's your foundation for a supremely aligned, powerful strategy that works for you. No more chasing what everybody else is telling you to do. No more feeling overwhelmed by the hundreds of things that are out there that are always being thrown in your face. This is tailored to exactly you and your specific energetic blueprint, your birth frequency. And that is where true authenticity and authentic success comes from. So what you get inside this really simple tool for $47 is a clear guided prompt to help ChatGPT create a personalized growth strategy for you in any area of your life. Instructions and insights for deeper understanding, or you can just use it as a simple start point if you are a beginner, right? To create some clarity on where do I want to go and what's the most aligned way for me to get there. Also, it has the flexibility to dive deeper on your own or work with me to put the plan into action. Remember, business is not a one size fits all, and that is where so many of us are getting ourselves stuck. We're tapping into cookie cutter strategies and there's no real authenticity, no real us, no real soul inside them. So, by tapping into your human design and astrology, you'll be able to unlock clarity, alignment, and a path that feels natural, nurturing, and fulfilling. Okay, so I hope you're as excited as I am. Get ready to start transforming your business or your career. Say goodbye to all of the overwhelm and all of the generic strategies. Get ready to step into alignment with a strategy that truly resonates and watch your potential become a reality. If you are ready, head to the show notes. The link is in the show notes, $47. Go and grab your Aligned Business Roadmap today. Go and check out the testimonials from the other people who have already used this tool inside their business with incredible success. All right, big love. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Okay, so tell us a little bit then, because I know a lot of people will hear that and they'll be like, yes, I understand that. That makes sense. My analytical brain is like, I I understand that concept, but knowing it and actually being able to do it, like what's your advice for people in terms of overcoming when we make that choice to be fully self-expressed and share our story, which means being vulnerable? How do you overcome the fear of rejection, of judgment, of failure, or of success that's going to come up when you choose to start showing up more authentically and sharing your story on a like more visibly?
I'm a big believer that personal branding is an initiation into a higher level of self. And
Mm.
so, what this means is that you're literally going to need to shed the version of yourself that you are now in order to step into the version of yourself that has the business, that has the lifestyle, that has the success, whatever that may be. And that means needing to be willing to move yourself through those challenging emotions, those limiting beliefs, those learning curves, whatever that may be, that is stopping you from being the version of yourself you need to become in order to have that brand. And this really starts by being willing to do the inner work, being willing to actually like get clear on what those blocks are that are coming up for you, like develop the awareness around that, and then also be willing to take the action steps forward in order to overcome that. You know, it's one thing to develop awareness, but you're not actually going to get anywhere unless there's action partnered with that awareness.
Yeah.
And so for everyone, like the actions are going to look different because it really depends on like what that challenge is that's immediately coming up for you in that moment. But something simple that I love to get my clients to do is a bit of a reflection. And so basically on a piece of paper, you draw a line down the middle of the page. And on one side, on the left-hand side, write current self. And then on the right-hand side, write future self. And so the future self is obviously the version of you who has built the business, has built the brand, has the lifestyle that you desire to have. On the left hand side with the current self, you're going to write down all of the beliefs, all of the thoughts, all of the patterns, all of the behaviors, all of the actions, absolutely everything that you can think of that is defining how you're showing up right now. And that requires like actually doing an honest check in with yourself and
Mm-hmm.
not just writing down the good, but actually writing down the bad, writing down where you're in avoidance, writing down the things that you're not doing, and actually like having that honest conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Then on the opposite side for the future you, you're going to do the same, but you're going to write it down. And how does that version of myself show up? What are the beliefs? What are the actions? What are the things that they do on a day-to-day basis religiously? And you're going to compare the two. And then what you've got there is you've got an actionable checklist. That future you side, one by one, list them, go through and arrange the points in order of importance, and one by one start to integrate each of those things that you're not currently doing and begin to embody that next version of yourself. So if that means reprogramming your belief system, if that means just being more consistent daily with certain actions that you've been avoiding doing, do the damn things.
Yeah.
And that's where the shift comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if that means reprogramming your subconscious identity, it does. Like, it
Mm.
just does. And I think we want to skip that bit, we want to skip, because that's the stuff that takes time. And we live in a culture of convenience. We want the quick fix, the, you know,
Yeah.
the bells and whistles now. We want it now. We want the magic pill. But that is the only work that will actually change things. You're always working from the current subconscious identity that you have. And even if you do go, okay, well, I'm going to be committed to this and disciplined and doing these things every day, if you're not building, reprogramming that subconscious identity underneath, then you're running on willpower and motivation, which is garbage and runs out, and you're going to give up, and then you're going to personalize that and make it all about how you're a terrible person and you know, you're not worth it and you quit all the time. But it's not actually your fault. And it's the key is what you just said. It's awareness. You don't know what you don't know. So if you haven't started this work, you don't know what the subconscious identities are that are, and the subconscious values and programs that are running your life. You don't know what they are. You don't know that you need to do this work. But now you do, because you listen to this episode and you follow both of us. So now you do, or you've been listening to other podcasts, or you've done other personal development work. So now that you have awareness, you actually have to be responsible. You have to lead yourself and be responsible, like you said, have accountability, and be honest with yourself about, what am I not doing that I say I'm doing? What am I saying I want, but then my actions are not matching those intentions? Like, one of my favorite ones is, you know, people will use affirmations. And, you know, the easiest one off the top of my head that I hear a lot is, I don't chase, I attract. So people will be constantly verbally affirming this to themselves over and over again. I don't chase, I attract. I don't chase, I attract. Next minute, they're chasing all over the place. You know, so are your intentions matching the person you're wanting to be is really important part of that process as well. And it is all about being. You have to be it on a subconscious identity level before you're going to be able to do it and maintain it. Because if you be it, then you're naturally going to do it. You don't have to rely on motivation. You don't have to force it. You will just do it because it's who you are.
Exactly that. And it can be a bit of a journey to, like, and I can speak from personal experience, like, it's not easy embodying that next version of
Mm.
yourself. And it's not going to be like, you make the list and then all of a sudden, bam, like you're able to easily integrate things. You need to keep coming back to checking in on that awareness piece, because like, you might find that for a couple weeks you're taking that consistent action, but then something happens and you slip off. And unless you catch the awareness of you slipping off, you're going to go on
Yeah.
playing out that old version of yourself again without having realized. So it's important to do awareness checks and to be patient and kind to yourself when you do recognize that you fall off track,
Yeah.
because the journey to becoming that version of yourself is the journey of continuously catching yourself, falling
Mm-hmm.
back out, and then calling yourself back up to step back in place, falling back out, stepping back up, falling back out, stepping back up, until one day you no longer fall back out. And
Yeah.
that might take years, that might take weeks, right? So give yourself love, give yourself kindness, and be patient with the process of actually embodying that next level of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Just the patience, the compassion, the gratitude for yourself. Like, I think a lot of the time when people decide to do this work, it's a part of control. That's a whole other thing. But we go to the end goal, like you said, right? We're trying to be that version of ourselves in the future, but we get so laser focused on that and put the blinkers on that we forget to actually step back and be grateful for ourselves that we actually decided to do it in the first place, that we actually even did that activity that you suggested. Because do you know how many people are going to listen to this and go, oh, that's a great idea, I'll do that, and then never do it? You know, like, so many people. I saw something the other day. I don't know if I'll remember the statistic correctly, but I think it was something like 82% of people who start personal development work never actually make change, because they, you know, they don't have the right support. They don't have someone helping them stay accountable or pointing out their blind spots, or they have it at a content level but not a context level in that subconscious identity, or like you said, they do it for a bit but they're not keeping that awareness and it falls off, and then they realize, and then they personalize it and make it all about how they're a terrible person and it's just like this vicious cycle. So it is really important, like you said, to check in. And if you do notice, it is just about like, oh, we haven't been doing that thing. Let's do it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
We're rewiring our brain here. It's okay, baby. We got this. Like, let's just keep going. We know where we're going, who we want to be. Time isn't real anyway. So, we can just start again and keep going from there.
I love that.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about what's like the main way that you help people in their soul mission, their business move forward.
Mm. So right now, the way that I am serving my clients is through helping them build their personal brands, but not just from a strategic level, from that self-development level as well. So really what I do is I partner, working with my clients on that mindset level, on that level of who are they as a person and who do they need to become. I partner that with branding and marketing strategy that is going to actually grow their business. So I'm growing a human whilst also growing their brand. And we
Yeah.
partner with two of those approaches so
Yeah.
that they can ultimately be building a brand that is authentic to who they are, that is a true expression of where they're going, who they're becoming, what they believe, um, and helping them really overcome those limitations and those blocks that come up along the way on that personal level, whilst also laying out the step-by-step tangible plan on that business level as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, people probably roll their eyes because they hear it so much, but like the idea, the concept that you are your brand is true. Like you are your brand, and whatever level of self work you're doing is going to be what your brand is based on. So they're not mutually exclusive. If you are building a brand, you do have to be doing that self work, that inner work. Can you then, that's what the post was about this morning. Can you spend some time for us then? Because I think people may be confusing business and brand. And I think in the post I saw you were talking about like you can have a coaching business or you can have a brand. So can you like
Right.
go into that for us a little bit?
Yeah, I know what post you were talking about. So basically, I was talking about like you could be a basic coach or you could be a branding master. And so obviously the coaching industry is one that's growing very, very rapidly. There's new coaches popping up left, right, and center. But the difference is there's some coaches out there who are just building a coaching business, right? They're just doing the things they think they should be doing. They're just doing the strategy. They're just, teaching the how-tos and so on. But then there's the people who are building brands, they're building missions, they're building legacies, they're becoming thought leaders. They're not just, sharing the same commodity content like that anyone can find answers on from Google or ChatGPT. No, they're sharing opinions.
Yeah.
They're leading conversations, opening discussions. They are being leaders within the space rather than just being another coach within the space. And that's the real difference that personal branding makes, right? Those who are able to become leaders within their industries are the ones who have actually done that depth of exploration around themselves and around what their brand actually stands for, that then they can communicate with a really clear and loud voice versus those who are just coaches are just like regurgitating what everyone else is doing, not standing out above the crowd, just blending in with everyone else in the space.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few things that, pop into my head listening to you talk about that. One is, around values, having that understanding of your core values. But I think the biggest one, idea that popped into my head when you were talking is, if you have a business, and this sort of comes back to what we were saying around niching, a business can be hard to pivot, but a brand grows and evolves with you. And an audience of a brand can grow and evolve with you much easier than a business audience can as well.
I love that explanation that you just gave. And it makes me think back on my own journey where I have very naturally and easily been able to pivot my business at each point that I have and not lost my community, not lost my audience. And that's because my audience has always been built around me as a person and the journey that I am on and where I am going and how I am getting there, not around, the modality that I teach specifically. The
Yes.
modality integrates into that, but people are following me and connecting with me and learning from me for me and the
Yeah.
journey that I'm going on. And so that's how I've very naturally been able to make those pivots across the years. And I'll still be able to continue to make pivots because of the fact that that brand is established and it's the brand that people are connected to.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what I've done as well, because I do different things. I do some transformational coaching and human design and a bit of spirituality, and you know, they're all different things. And if I had to pick one of those things, especially being a manifesting generator, I would feel very boxed in and very like just yuck. But because, like you're saying, it's not about teaching or building your business around the modality, whatever that is for you. It's about the brand. And so I can sort of share different things. And as I grow and evolve and learn more, it just like it's natural. It's a lot more natural if you are building a brand centered around you and who you are and your authentic expression and your soul gifts and what you're here to do. It's a lot easier. It's just more flexible, more open.
Yeah, exactly that. And, one thing I like to think about is how multifaceted we are as humans. And a lot of the time, when someone's new to building a brand, they become too focused on the business itself and forget about all of the other elements that make the person behind the personal brand. And so a great example of this for me is like my artwork, most people would ask, but art doesn't have anything to do with business. Like, how can you be sharing that? I'm like, well, actually, art has everything to do with business because it has everything to do with who I am, everything to do with what I believe in, how I think, how I create, and that integrates directly into how I can then serve my clients as well.
Yeah.
Same applies to, when I tell my clients, if you go to the gym, post yourself at the gym. Doesn't matter if you're not a fitness coach, be sharing that as a part of your brand.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's a part of you. That's a part of what you value. That shows a level of discipline and a level of care that you have for your health, your well-being, and so on. And that is important for people to be able to connect with. So yeah, I really love that like idea of, embracing what makes you unique and sharing those multifaceted parts of yourself as a part of your brand strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we are getting towards the end of our time. So I have another question. Do I have two questions? I have two questions. So I guess my first question is, if you think back to you at 22 before you made that courageous decision, right, to follow the pull, the nudge, what lights you up. If you think back to that version of you, or any incredible soul listening who knows that they want more, they're here for more, but doesn't know how to take the first step, what would your advice be for them?
And trust yourself. It's really all it takes when taking that first step. Even if you say, I don't know what my first step is, you do know what your first step is. You're just not trusting what you intuitively know. For me, the first step was to leave my degree, and I had to trust myself so that I could take that step to leave my degree. Then
Mm,
I had to trust myself to hand in my letter of resignation. Then I had to trust myself to invest in the mentor and so on
yeah,
and so on and so on. So the first thing to do is to just trust yourself. And
yeah.
if you're finding yourself saying, I don't know where to start, change the question and just ask yourself, where can I start?
Mm,
What might it look like if I was to start somewhere? And brainstorm all the options. Then from those options that you have, pick one. Trust yourself, lean into it, take the action, and then take the next and take the next.
yeah, make the choice, right? So much of our like discomfort comes from just not choosing anything,
Yeah.
right? It's like we're staying stuck and we're so uncomfortable because we don't want to make a choice because we don't trust ourselves. And like so many times I've been there, and as soon as you make the choice, you're like, oh, okay, like I agonized over leaving teaching because I decided to resign teaching. I could have taken leave, like, because I had a safe government job, full time, benefits, all of that stuff. I'd spent all the time building that career, but it just wasn't where I knew I was meant to be anymore.
Mm.
And there was a whole identity obviously created around being a teacher and what that meant and what people thought about me because of that. So there was a lot of like agonizing, but as soon as I made the choice, I was like, oh, yeah, that was
The
good.
hardest part is making the decision. It
Yeah.
really is. The hardest part is just trusting yourself to make the decision. So the best thing that I do for myself is just reframe my mindset and go, well, I can't make a wrong decision.
Mm,
No matter what I decide, like I'm going to learn something from it. It's going to move me closer in one way or another. Even if it feels like it was the wrong choice, there's
yeah.
something that's going to be gained from that. So just trust that there is no such thing as a wrong decision, and any decision that you make, it will inevitably move you more towards where you're meant to be going.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of my favorite phrases to help with that my mentor Jim Fortin uses is everything was, is, and always will be fine.
Mm,
It will be fine. If you think about it, if you're here right now, it has. Like that is the truth of the moment right now. I'm fine. You might have had experiences, you might have gone through things may have been hard, but you also overcame them and you were fine. So that's a really good way, like in those moments, because really the choice is your fear, your fear about what's going to happen in the future. It's not even here. It doesn't even exist because the future doesn't exist. It just becomes the present, but we get so caught up in the worry and anxiety about what could happen. So just like you said, trusting yourself and then remembering, well, everything's always going to be fine because it always has been and it
yeah,
always will be.
exactly. And that for me is like the definition of self-trust.
Mm,
The definition to me of self-trust is knowing that you will be fine,
yeah,
knowing that you have got yourself and you will be fine in the end. Even if it doesn't work out the way you wanted to, you will be fine.
yeah. And it's
Mm.
always working out for you. Everything is always working out for you. Might not work out the way that you planned it or you envisage it, but it's still working out for you because it's probably a lesson that you need for something else, down the road or that you needed. Yeah, love it. Love it. Okay. I have one last question, and this is a question that I ask everybody who comes onto the show. So I would love to know, what does the word fearless mean to you?
Mm. See, the word fearless to me, it doesn't actually mean not having fear.
Hmm.
Like I think we hear the word fearless and there can be this assumption of, oh, if someone's fearless, they don't have fear. But no, it's being able to take action despite fear being present, right? And that to me is what fearless is. It's like, yes, there is fear there, but despite the fear that is present, you are still going to move forward. You're not going to allow that fear to mean more and to take control. You're going to allow the fear to just exist, but not hold you back from moving forward.
Yeah, love it. It needs like it needs two words on my show because it really is fearless.
Yeah.
It's not fearless, the absence of fear. It's understanding what fear is, the biology of it, the neuroscience, like what's going on with fear. And yeah, like you said, you can't get rid of it. Our brain revolves around it. It's a prediction process to
Well,
keep
maybe
us
we could
safe.
like look at it as the word fearless is actually it's give fear less power. So you're missing
Yes.
the power at the end. And so
Yeah.
fearless actually view it as give fear less
Yes.
power.
I love it. You've just renamed my show. Amazing. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much, Emily, for coming onto the show and sharing your wisdom. Obviously, we'll put everything in the show notes, but just for those really eager beavers who want to know straight away, where can they find you if they want to know more about what you do or get in touch with you?
So I'm very easy to find. I'm at Empower with Them on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. I post daily. I share fun stuff. I give so much value away. So jump on over there, send me a DM on Instagram if you want to have a chat about how I can work with you on your business or your brand. And if you just want to get to know me on a deeper level, then go listen to the Empower with Them podcast. I have been recording episodes since before I started my business. So you can literally go back and listen to 22-year-old Em at the start of it all and literally hear what I went through as I made those decisions to be fearless in the moment.
That's amazing. Thank you. Okay. So just what have you got going on at the moment? What exciting things, what offers, what events? Have you got anything right now that you'd just really love to share?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm just at the moment focusing on working really intimately with my clients. I did a lot of events last year,
Yeah.
but this year I'm really just predominantly focusing on working with my one-to-one clients and my academy clients. So that's really where I'm helping people on an intimate level build themselves up, build their mindsets, build their belief, build their vision, their mission, and also build the strategy that's going to bring that to life. And then outside of that itself, like I'm just creating art at the moment, which I'm really loving, and just gonna keep creating more and more and more of it.
Yes, very cool. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show and yeah, spending your time with us.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope you received exactly what you needed from it. I absolutely loved sharing it with you. I'd also love to know what you thought. So please leave a comment or a review for me to respond to, or just come over and say hi on my socials. If you'd love to be a guest on the show, or maybe you have a question or a topic that you'd like me to talk about, then please send me a message. I absolutely love to connect. And really, this podcast is all about you. So, and your success. So tell me what you need to hear more of. If you really enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, or even better, send it to someone you know to spread the love. Let's get this authentic success movement happening. Okay, that's it from me. Big love. Now go out there and be amazing.